channel, my friends. Today we're going to be showing you a pretty interesting effect. Basically, it is an outline tunnel effect, and I've seen it a lot in commercials and music videos. So let's go ahead and get right into it. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, please leave a like, subscribe if you do enjoy, and comment what you'd like to see next from me. Maybe you have some sort of request. A lot of the video ideas come from the comment section down below, so you guys are what fuels it. Other than that, all you're going to need to start this is some footage. The key to really doing this is isolating the subject. So I recommend that you shoot this on a green screen if you're doing it for commercial work, music video, whatever it is you're creating. Green screen is going to be the easiest. If not, you can use masking and rotoscoping. If you don't know what that is, I'll leave my tutorial for that down below. It's basically a way where you can take the subject away from the background. So I'm going to start with some green screen footage. If you're looking to invest in a green screen for whatever project it is you're doing, I recommend you use the one that I'm about to flash on the screen now. I actually use that for every tutorial that I put out. That's how I'm able to actually put myself in front of the screen here with no visible background. Fold out, folding green screen. Of course, there's cheaper ones if you'd like to get the big circular ones, but just thought I'd put that out there. Links will be down below. Once you have your footage in here, we're going to do it with green screen like I said. Step number one, you want to go to your effects and presets and you want to look up the key light effect. Go ahead and place this on your green screen footage. Go to your effect controls here where you can see your key light. Grab your little dropper next to your screen color and just select this green. Go ahead and just select the green off of here to make that transparent. You can toggle your transparency here if you're seeing black background, transparent, whatever it is you like. Now, if you want to clean this up, what you can do is you'll see your little channel selector here. You have your full RGB. You can change that to alpha. And now you'll see the difference in the white and the black here. So what we can do, go to our effect controls again in our screen matte section, and we can clip the black and the white to try and clean this up. So maybe let's clip the black. You'll see this goes from fuzzy to more kind of defined like that. And you can also clip the white a bit if you don't want that kind of blurred edge. So try and get something you like. Switch the channel back to RGB and you'll see now our key light is a tad bit more clean. So now we can go ahead and create our tunnel effect now that we've isolated the subject from our background. So there's a few ways you can actually do this. I'm going to show you 3 different variations. I think the most popular way shown online whenever I was researching this is to select the layer, go up to layer, auto trace. Now what you can do here is you can actually add a little bit of a blur. If you want, you can check apply to new layer and it'll place all the masks into its own separate layer if you'd like that. I'm just going to have it on the original one. So it's going to trace this. It's going to put all the tracing in masks. So we'll let this auto trace through. I just want to mention, if you are following along, this isn't the method that I would recommend. I'm going to show you an easier method after this, but I just wanted to quickly show you this in case you were interested in doing it the auto trace method. All right guys, so the auto trace went through, and this is a good method if you like the mask based way of tracking this. If you see, I click M on my keyboard to show the mask. Here are the keyframes that it created, and for some reason it didn't track like this first section, so that's one of the reasons why I don't really like it. It's not as reliable. I did this earlier and it was perfect, so I guess it kind of depends. I did it on a separate layer and it turned out a little bit better using this. Basically what you do is you use the auto trace, you have the masks, and then once you've done that, you can go to your effects and presets and add in a stroke effect. And you'll see now we have this white line around our layer. And then what you can do is you can take the start percentage, or if you want, you can start this like here and animate it so that it'll kind of grow around. You've designed that, you can change your color here. You click Control D to duplicate it, and then you can press S and scale, and then change your paint style from on original image to on transparent. And then you'll have these kind of rings going along. Now that's one way to do it if you like the mask version. The way that I like doing this better, because it's a lot easier, it's a lot more simple, and you can do this with a lot more different clips, is let's go ahead and just start this from scratch. I'll delete this. I'll go ahead and delete the mask off the second one. I'll also delete the stroke effect. So we're starting with just our normal. So the way that I like to do it is I'll select my layer and I'll click Control D to duplicate it. If you want, you can rename this, and I'll just name it Outlines. Now select your Outlines layer, you go up to Layer, Layer Styles, and if you guys use Photoshop a lot, you'll be 100% familiar with layer styles. You can add stroke, color overlay, gradient overlay, bevel, outer glow. You can add a stroke onto here, and you'll see now we automatically have this traced stroke line around our subject, which is really nice. It's a lot easier than sitting here and waiting for all the masks to generate. Of course, if you are doing the auto trace, there's a lot of benefits because you have the mask, you have keyframe options, but the stroke, if you're just trying to create this tunnel effect, is probably the easiest way. So you can now select, open your layer styles, you can open up the blending options, and what you want to do is you can Control D to duplicate this and create as many as you want. I like to grab the duplications and place it below our original footage here. And on these duplications, I'll go ahead and open up the layer styles on them. I'll go to blending options, advanced blending, and you'll see our fill opacity. You want to make that 0. So now if we hide our other 2 layers that we have here, you'll see that now we have a layer with just the stroke. So we can scale these up, we can duplicate them, we can create that tunnel that I was speaking of and showed you at the beginning. Of course, we can also change our color. So let's show all our layers. This one is our outlines number 1, just around the subject. If you want, you can do the same here. Go to advanced blending, fill opacity 0. We still have our original footage underneath that, so it'll still show normally. Now let's go over to our normal stroke options here, and let's go ahead and maybe create some sort of like an RGB stroke. So we'll start with blue. Also go up to our size here, and let's go with something maybe around 12 pixels, I think is fine. You guys can mess with the opacity, position. Sometimes it depends on the clip, but you can go ahead and mess with this to see what it's looking like and the fit that you ultimately like. I think I'm going to go with center for these. And now let's go to this duplication that we made here, our outlines 2. I dragged this underneath our original footage. Let's open up our stroke options for this, and this one is going to be red. That's fine. Let's go ahead and make this size 12 as well. And to actually see this, let's click S to bring up our scale, and then let's just scale this up. And it's a little bit offset, so you guys can just click and drag where you like it, or you guys can just double click here, go to your transform, and switch around your anchor point so that it's not going to mess up a lot. It's just going to, the anchor point is basically just the center of where this is being dragged out. Now let's keep doing this. Let's keep going down the line and adding to this infinite tunnel. Control D on outlines 2 to make outlines 3. Of course, drag it below, and then we open up our layer styles for all that. You go to your stroke, and all we need to do at this point is change the color, because we've already gone through the options. Since this is a duplication, it's already going to be the size we want here. It's already going to have that advanced blending with the 0% fill opacity, so it's 100% transparent. So all we need to do is go to layer styles, stroke, and then change the color you'd like. Choose your blending mode if you're into that, changing if you want to. Let's make this one green, and then click S on the layer, scale it up, and let's go ahead and move my anchor point over a bit. And that's looking good. So you can see this is what I mean by this kind of tunneling effect. It looks like there's some more depth behind it. And I'll probably do that one more time. So Control D, outline 4, layer style, stroke, change the color. So maybe make this one kind of like this. S on your keyboard, scale it up, and change your anchor point. There you go. So there you have it. Since it's with the stroke effect, this is going to move with your subject, as you can see, which is pretty interesting. Of course, you can actually animate these to pop in and out. So you'll see that I have arranged this so that it goes outlines, outlines 2, 3, 4. What you can do is if you want these to kind of pop in, you can just move over a bit, Control Shift D to split, and then just delete this excess. Move over a bit more, Control Shift D, delete the end part. Move over a bit more, Control Shift D, delete the end part. So it's kind of like stairs going down. So you'll see you have your normal stroke, and then as time goes on, now you have the next ring of that stroke. Time goes on, you have the next ring of the stroke pop in, and then you have the 4th ring pop in. So if you want to change the timing of that, of course, what you can do is you can kind of just drag it so that there's not much of a gap. So I'm just going to zoom in. You can maybe make it a few frames if you want it to pop in a lot faster. Let's play that. So that's a more kind of popping in your face tunnel effect like that. Pretty interesting. I think that looks a bit better. Of course, if you want, you can repeat the steps if you want this to animate down. So Control Shift D, delete, move over a bit, Control Shift D, delete, move over a bit, Control Shift D, delete. Another thing you can do, let's go ahead and just grab our original footage here, and let's hide all these outline layers that we made earlier, so that we can start from scratch again. All right, so once you have your duplication here, what you can do is look up a simple little tint effect and apply that onto your duplicated layer here. And now under the tint effect, what you can do is change these colors to anything you'd like. So we can go ahead and make them both green. If you want, you can just click the dropper to make that the same color. Once you've done that, you're gonna wanna take your outline layer, place it below your original footage, and then once you've done that, you can go ahead and look up a simple choker effect right here. Place that there. and you can go ahead and just take the choke matte and just lower it. You can grab the value, lower it some more if you want it to be bigger. And now all you need to do is select your outline layer, Control D. So now we have an outline 2. You can go ahead and choose a new color for your tint. So let's maybe go with light blue. And then grab the simple choker and just Control D to duplicate it, just like that. And we can just repeat that process for as long as you like. So Control D for outline 3, choose a new color. Let's maybe go with something like this pink color. Choose that, and then Control D to duplicate that. And now, of course, if you want, you can grab, make that larger. So that's another different alternate look that you guys can use for this video. Instead of having it being smaller lines, it's more kind of closer, stacked on top of each other lines. And of course, you can make this full screen if you want to kind of create your own moving background. You can just keep doing this, Control D, outline 4. If you want to make any of these lines thicker, you can actually just go in here and just keep duplicating these simple chokers. And you'll see if we do that, every single one of these is going to get a bit bigger. You can take this as far as you like. Maybe you want to have it to the point where it really does fit the entire screen. It's very easy to do that. Keep multiplying that by clicking Control D on the simple choker, and you're able to create your own little kind of psychedelic looking backgrounds using that method. All right, guys, and now for the last tip that I want to show you when it comes to creating these cool tunnel effects. Now, this one's pretty interesting, but you can only do this with shape layers or with text. So let me show you exactly how we can do this. So we're going to start off by creating a little background. So I'll right click, I'll go to new and then solid. And then I just went to the orange and I picked a kind of pale orange background like that. So we have our background solid. Next, what we want to do is let's go ahead and click our text tool, and will give us a nice area. And I'm going to go ahead and write something. I'll just write my name. So for example, if you're doing some sort of title sequence, you can use this technique, which I'm going to show you. To get your text to look like this, you're going to want to open up your character and your paragraph options over here on the right. If you don't see that, you can go to window and you'll see character and paragraph. Just make sure those are checked. Once you found those, let's go over to character, and you're going to see this is your outline text here. This is your foreground text. And you're going to want to see this drop down. If you don't see that drop down, you may need to grab the edge of this and just drag down. You'll be able to select stroke over fill. So go ahead and do that. You can also select your color here. You can stretch your text. You can select what kind of font. To make the stroke bigger as well, you can actually select, highlight your text, and the option is right here. So I like going with 3 pixels for that. So next we're going to double click and select our text again, right click, and we're going to go to create shapes from text. So that's going to convert this text layer into this little shape layer. And if we open that up in our contents, you can see we can now change every single one of the different letters. We can add some cool little animation presets here. This is a super useful tool for animators who are using After Effects a lot. So what we can do is we can actually click add next to contents here, and we can add a repeater. And this is going to allow us to create some really interesting, cool tunnel outline effects for text. So we can open up our repeater, open up the transform for that repeater. And first off, let's go ahead and make position 0. You can grab your Y position and just drag down a bit. And you'll see you can create some cool stuff with this. Let's grab our copies and bump that up. So let's have maybe somewhere around like 15 copies. Position, we'll drag this in so that it's a little bit more stretched. This in and of itself is a pretty cool little tunnel look you can do if you'd like. If you do like the positioning of that, you can start this at 0, keyframe it, move to however long you want this to be, and then you can kind of drag this down. Here's what that animation will look like. Pretty interesting. You've probably seen that in a lot of different graphics. Say you want it to go up, just drag this to the left. Now you have your text going up, and of course you can do this in any direction. So that's one thing you can do with the repeater. Another thing which you can do is, let's go ahead and just start this at maybe 25. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab the scale and just scale this up. This is another thing that you can keyframe. So you wanna start it here, keyframe the scale up so that it kind of shoots towards the screen. Here's what that will look like. But we're gonna not have an animation for this yet. We're just going to scale this, and we're gonna use our anchor positions here to try and create this cool little tunnel background for our font. So use your scaling, use your anchor point to try and center that. Something like this maybe. And then if there's some space here, what you can do is you can just bump up the copies like that. And now you actually have this cool kind of tunnel going through the font itself. If your original font's getting washed away, you can just show the original text layer, drag that to a layer above, And then maybe you can just highlight this, and let's just select a contrasting color for this. You can even maybe just look up effects presets and just invert it if you want it to really pop out. There's a lot you can do. Let's hop back into our shape layer here. We can go ahead and just add maybe a little offset paths. And if we open that up, you can put it on round join. You can put it on bevel join, which kind of just changes the looks a lot. If you see these edges, we'll put it on round, a little bit more like that. And then you can customize how you'd like these joints to really behave. The cool thing that I did earlier, if we're just to reset all of this and just quickly go through it again. So I made my name, but this time, instead of having this dark red and white, if we open up character, I just made it black with a white line, like I showed you earlier before. Now, if you do the same thing that I just showed you, we go ahead and select it all, right click, create the shape from the text, quick little repeater like we did earlier. And we're gonna set this up how we want. So 0, 30 on the position, bump up your copies, and then grab your scale, put that up, change your anchor points. That's about it. So the reason why I changed, so the only thing I'm really changing here is the black and white, and you can create some really interesting kind of looks with this black and white background look. So if we put on the offset paths, and then we change the offset paths to round again, just to kind of smooth everything out. And with the black and white, we can go over to our offset or any other value that you like to animate. Set a keyframe at the beginning and maybe drag back the scale. And then what I'm gonna do is Control C, and just every 3 frames, I'll just Control V to paste that. So here's what you're gonna get. It's gonna be this cool, crazy looking animation where it's basically kind of tricking your eye. Now I think this is a little bit too fast. So what I'll do is I'll space it out. We'll maybe do something like this. But here it is. Like I said, you can create some cool optical illusions doing this. You have a lot of really interesting tunnel options. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. There's a lot of information in here, but a lot of useful stuff, a lot of things you can apply to different projects, no matter what kind of videos you guys are producing. As always, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you'd like to see next. We just moved into a new studio, so content is gonna get upgraded. Instead of me just being on your screen like this on a green screen, I'm gonna change between showing the screen, showing me with the green screen, and showing me in a professional set shot on a nice camera, so we can switch between all of those and just make it a nicer experience as a whole. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.